Hello friends, welcome to Learner's Planet. In this session we are going to discuss about different methods for determining the order of a reaction. So what is the order of a reaction actually? It is the number of molecules whose concentration determine the rate of a reaction, or whose change in concentration affects the rate of reaction. Or it can be also defined as the sum of all the exponents to which the concentration of the rate expression or the rate equation are raised. Right? So this is the components whose change in concentration determines the rate of reaction, in short we can say. Now this order of reaction is determined experimentally. Right? You can't just predict the order of a reaction by just seeing a chemically balanced equation. So there is a difference between stoichiometric coefficient and the actual coefficient. The actual coefficient in the rate expression determines or is the order of the reaction and is determined experimentally. So we'll be discussing about the isolation method for determining the order of reaction, the initial rate method, and also the integrated rate law method for determining the order of the reaction. So let's start our theory session here, students. The isolation method. Now if a reaction involves only one reactant, right, the rate law can be easily determined by measuring the initial rate of the reaction as a function of reactant concentration. Okay, so we can measure the initial rate of the reaction as the function of the reactant concentration. So what is the expression for the rate of the reaction? Rate of a reaction can be expressed in terms of the change in concentration of the reactant at any instant of time, and that is equal to K. Now it is a reactant, so I have to put a negative sign over here, because as the reaction proceeds, the concentration of reactant decreases. Now into the concentration of the reactant, right, it can be A and raised to the power the coefficient. Now if the rate is determined as a function of the concentration, we can easily determine the order of the reaction. Right? So what has happened? Say this is for example a reaction, that is CH3N2CH3. It's a gas and it decomposes to give ethane and nitrogen. So in this case the rate of the reaction is determined. Now how the rate of the reaction is determined? A graph is plotted between the concentration and versus the time. Now if it's the reactant concentration, what happens? It goes on decreasing, and with time the graph you'll get like this. Now a tangent is dropped over it and the instantaneous rate is determined. Now this rate as a function of the concentration is determined to find out the order of the reaction. Now students, this is the case when one of the reactant is available. This is just a method. We have to discuss it briefly. We don't have to go into the details of it. Now what happens if two reactants are present? Here if one reactant is present, we can easily determine the order. But if two reactants are present, then if the reaction involves more than one reactant, the rate law can be determined by measuring the dependence of the reaction rate on concentration of each reactant one at a time. So you have to consider one reactant at a time. So if I am starting with hydrogen, if I have to see the dependence of rate on the change in concentration of hydrogen. So what can be done here is iodine can be taken in large excess, so that the change in its concentration is not affecting the rate. it is taken in large excess. If it's taken in large excess, there will be slight change in the concentration of iodine as the reaction proceeds. So whatever change will be observed in the concentration of hydrogen will give the order with respect to hydrogen. Say if the rate expression, or what is the rate law actually? The rate law for this can be written as rate is equal to K into the molar concentration of hydrogen. If it's gas, then we take pressure of hydrogen gas raised to the stoichiometric coefficient. In this case, it is the axial coefficient. We can take it as N, and again it's I2 to the power M. Now we have to determine the order with respect to hydrogen. That how is the change in concentration of hydrogen affecting the rate? Say if I am doubling the concentration of hydrogen, what will be the effect on the rate? Will it be doubled? Will it be quadrupled? Will it remain the same? I have to determine that. Okay, so we have to first determine N. So what is done for it is that the concentration of iodine or the iodine is taken in large excess. Now the rate can be expressed as, I can write it as minus of dH2 by dt, and that is equal to K H2N. Now the change in concentration, iodine, as it is taken in large excess, its change in concentration is very less, so it is not affecting the rate. Now again, the rate is determined as a function of the concentration of hydrogen. Once the order with respect to hydrogen is determined, the next step is to determine the order with respect to iodine. So it's di2 by dt, and that is equal to K I2 to the power M. And then we can determine the rate law expression. See, the thing is written here. The concentration of all the reactants is fixed except one reactant, and the rate of reaction is recorded as a function of concentration of that reactant. Now any change in the rate will be due to the change in the concentration of that reactant. See, the reaction can have 3 reactants also. It can have 2 reactants. So for determining the rate law with respect to one reactant, other reactants should be taken in large excess. Now the dependence thus observed gives us the order with respect to that reactant, that particular reactant which you are altering, or which we are altering. The other reactants are fixed. The concentration of the other reactants are fixed. The same procedure is applied to other reactants also. Now isolation of one reactant is achieved by having all other reactants in large excess. Otherwise it's not possible, students. You have to take, say if the reaction goes like A plus B plus C is giving the product P plus Q. Now in this case, if I have to determine the order with respect to A, what I'll do is I'll take the reactants, that is the B and C, in large excess. In large excess, so that if there is minute change in the concentration when the reaction proceeds, it is not affecting. Right? Because it is in very large excess. If it's in large excess, very small amount of change is there in the concentration. And A value, A is taken in small amounts, so that the reaction rate is affected by the concentration of A only. Okay? So this is what is isolation method. Now let's take up the initial rate method. Initial rate method. In this method, the various initial rates are determined at different initial concentration of one of the reactants, keeping the concentration of the rest constant. Say if there are 2 or more reactants, then the initial rates are measured. Initial rates means just rate at just the start of the reaction is measured. Right? Now the initial rates are measured at different initial concentrations of one reactant. Say the experiment is repeated. The experiment is repeated means, say if I have taken the first reactant, say if the reaction is A plus B gives P plus Q, right? Now I have to determine the order with respect to A. What is done here is that series of experiments are conducted. Now in the first experiment, say if I have to determine it with respect to A, in the first experiment, let me start with 0.1 molar or moles per liter of A, and B the large excess. It is taken in large excess, and rate is determined. Rate with respect to A, because B is in large excess, right? Its concentration can be taken as constant. If it's in large excess, the change in concentration will be very, very less, and that can be neglected. So the rate will be determined with respect to 0.1 mole per liter of A. Now secondly, in the second experiment, again the concentration is changed. I am making it as 0.2 molar. Again the rate is determined. In the third experiment, I can make it as 0.3 molar, and again the rate is determined. So in this case, the rate is determined with different concentrations of A, and that too which rate is determined? It is not the rate at any instant of time. It is the rate at the start of the reaction. Now why there is at the start of the reaction? See, because when the reaction has just started, the product is not there, and the product is not at all interfering with the rate of the reaction or with the chemical reaction going on. So as the product is not yet formed, it is not going to interfere with the chemical reaction. That is why the rate of reaction is determined at just the start of the reaction. Now the same procedure will be repeated for B, right? Say for A, rate at the start of the reaction, so that is rate at 0 time, we can say, that is equal to K, and A, that is the initial concentration again just at the start of the reaction, and N, right? So rate 0, this is the initial rate, A naught is the initial concentration. Now let's take up the logarithm on both the sides. So it will be log of rate initial, and that will be equal to what? Log of K, right? And N log of A naught. This will be the thing. Now this log K will be log K dash. Why so? Because here, if I'll write the rate expression, it will be rate, that is in the beginning, that is at the start of the reaction, that is equal to K, the initial concentration of A to the power N, and the initial concentration of B to the power M, you can say. Now here B we are taking as constant, that is K B naught to the power M, it can be taken as a constant, and that is, let's take it as K dash. So this will be K dash. Okay, so this will be the expression for initial rate of the reaction with respect to A. Now if I'm plotting a curve, so let's plot the graph between log of A, that is log of the rate, what? Rate initial, and log of the initial concentration. So we'll get a slope over here. I have drawn a wavy line, I'll just correct it. So I've plotted this graph between the log of the initial rate and log of the initial concentration of what? Of A. So I've got this plot, and the slope is there. Now what will be the value of the slope? Slope will give you the N. Now you can see the equation is in the form of y is equal to mx plus c. See, y is equal to mx plus c. C is the intercept. That is a straight line equation. Now in this case, what will be the slope equal to? Slope will be equal to the n, or the order of the reaction. Now same ways, the order of the reaction or order with respect to B can be determined by taking A in large X's and repeating experiments with B. Taking some initial concentration of B, determining the rate, again repeating the experiment with different initial concentrations of B. And remember, the rate is determined initially only. Right? So from this slope, the n or the order can be calculated. And then the overall order. Overall order will be the m plus n. So it is, let's read out these statements. I have explained you this. In this method, the various initial rates are determined at different initial concentration of one of the reactants, keeping the concentration of the rest constant. Got it? Thus, the rate of reaction with respect to that particular reactant can be determined. Now the next is, the experiment is then repeated with respect to the rest of the reactants one by one, and the respective order is determined in each case. Now the initial rate gives the intrinsic tendency of the reaction, because at this stage the reaction rate is not influenced by the products of the reaction. I told you that products are not interfering with the rate of the reaction. So this way we can find out the order with respect to the different reactants. Now let's take up one numerical related to this. See, there's an example over here. The rate of the reaction A plus 2B gives C has been observed at 25 degrees centigrade. From the following data, determine the rate law for the reaction and determine the rate constant. So this is the data you are provided with. Now in this case, say if I have to determine the order with respect to A, so I'll take up the reactions or the experiments where the concentration of B is constant. Say in the first two cases, here the initial concentration of A is 0.1 molar. In experiment 2, the initial concentration is 0.2 molar. But in case of B, the concentration is constant, that is 0.1, 0.1. So the rate is determined with respect to A. Now the rates are, now whatever is the change in this rate, say when the initial concentration of A is 0.1, the rate is 5.5 into 10 to the power minus 6 mole per second. Whereas if the concentration of A is 0.2, then the rate is 2.2 into 10 to the power minus 5. Now keeping the concentration of the B constant. So whatever is the change in the rate is due to the change in concentration of A. Now let's determine the order with respect to A. See here, it's rate 1. The rate is 5.5 into 10 to the power minus 6 mole per second. In the second experiment, the rate is 2.20 into 10 to the power minus 5. A, the concentration of A is 0.1 molar. The concentration of A in the second experiment is 0.200 molar. The concentration of B is constant. So in this case, now if I'm solving this, if I take the rough one, it will be 1 by 4 and 1 by 2 to the power x. So from here, x is determined to be 2. That is, the order with respect to A is 2. This is just an example to show you how the initial rate is, how the order of the reaction is determined. Now let's take up the order with respect to B. Now we have determined that order with respect to A is 2. That is, the rate expression will be K, R is equal to K, A to the power 2. That is, if the concentration of A is doubled, the rate will be quadrupled. Now similarly, we have to determine it for B. We don't know for B. So we have to take this set of experiments where the concentration of A is constant. Now in this example, in which two experiments the concentration of A is constant? In the experiment 4 and experiment 5, the concentration of A is constant, whereas the concentration of B is changing. It is changing from 0.3 to 0.6, and the rate of reaction when the concentration of B is 0.3, it is 1.65 into 10 to the power minus 5, whereas when it's 0.6, it is 3.30 into 10 to the power minus 5. So what will be the thing? The rate 1, or that is rate 4 by rate 5, I can simply write here as the rate 4 by rate 5 is equal to 0.3 by 0.6 to the power y or m, anything it can be. So just calculate this, you'll get the order with respect to B. See, the rate 4 is the rate when the concentration of B is 0.3 molar is 1.65 into 10 to the power minus 5, whereas when the concentration of B is 0.6, the rate is 3.30 into 10 to the power minus 5. So it's coming out to be, this is also 1 by 2 and this is also 1 by 2. So the order with respect to B is 1. That is, what will be the rate law expression? Rate is equal to K B to the power 1. That is, when the concentration of B is doubled, the rate will also be doubled. Whereas the rate law with respect to A, rate law expression, will be R is equal to K A to the power 2. That is, when the concentration of A is doubled, the rate will be quadrupled. Right? So the overall order will be 3. So it is a third order. The reaction is following or obeying the third order kinetics. Right? And you can easily determine the rate constant, the value of the rate constant. Rate is equal to K, A square and B. That's it. So this is how the order of the reaction is determined by initial rate method. Now let's take one more example. Let's take the example of one more numerical related to this. Now let's take up this question. Rate of reaction A plus B gives P is given below as function of different initial concentrations of A and B. It's given, it's not M, it's N, not M. Different initial concentrations of A and B. Now again, you have to determine the order of the reaction with respect to A and with respect to B. Right? Now what is the first step? Just take up, these are the sets of experiment. Now take up the set of experiment if you have to determine the order with respect to A. Now take up that set of experiment where the concentration of A has been changed but B is constant, and the rate of that particular set. So let's find out. If I take up the first experiment, the concentration of A here is 0.01 molar, whereas the concentration of B is 0.01 molar again, or mole per liter, and the rate is 0.05 mole per liter and per second. There should be per second also. If we take up the second experiment, then the concentration of A is 0.02, B is 0.01 and the rate is 0.010. It means in experiment 2, the rate, whatever is the change in the rate of reaction, is due to the change in concentration of A, because the concentration of B is kept constant. Now let's find out for the case 1 and 2 what we can do. We can find out the order with respect to A. So it will be what? Rate, initial rate for the first experiment divided by the initial rate for the second experiment, and that is equal to the concentration of A for the first experiment. What is it? This is the initial concentration, and the initial concentration of A for the second experiment, and K the constant. Right? Now here, what is the rate? It is 0.005 divided by the initial rate in the second experiment. it is 0.010, and that is equal to K. And what is the initial concentration of A? It's 0.01 divided by 0.02, and for B it's 0.01 and 0.01, right? That is 0.01 it is raised to the power n and divided by 0.01 raised to the power m, right? Now whatever is the rate or is change in the rate is due to the change in concentration of A. So what is the order with respect to A? It is 0.005 divided by 0.010, and that is equal to K, 0.01 by 0.02 to the power n. So it is coming out to be 1 by 2 and 1 by 2, right? So 1 by 2 is equal to K 1 by 2 to the power n. So what will be n equal to? N will be equal to 1, right? Now if I have to find out the order with respect to B, what all sets of experiment I am going to take? It is where the concentration of A is a constant or is constant. Now it is 0.01, and in the third set of experiment it is also 0.01, whereas in case of B it is 0.01 and 0.02, whereas if I am taking up the experiment it is 0.005 and 0.005. So what will be the order with respect to B? What I'll do is, let's take up this 0 point, the rate of the reaction, the rate in the case of, this is what, initial rate, in the case of first, divided by the rate, that is the initial rate in the case of third, right? And that is equal to K, the concentration of A as in case of what? The first, and the concentration of A as in case of third, right? Then again the concentration of B as in case of first, and the concentration of B in case of third experiment. So the rate in case of first, the rate in the first experiment is 0.005. The rate of reaction in the third experiment is 0.005 again. K. A is the initial rate of A in the first experiment is 0.01. In the third experiment is also 0.01. So that is a constant, right? Then again it will be this one. And B, the initial concentration of B in the first experiment is 0.01, and the initial concentration of B in the third experiment is 0.02 to the power m. Now the rate is what? Rate I can write it here as 1, and that is equal to 1 by 2 to the power n. Now you can say that rate is independent of the change in concentration of B. Here what is happening? In this case, the concentration of B has been changed from 0.01 mole per liter to 0.02 mole per liter, but there is no change in the rate of reaction. So the rate has been changed. There is no change in the rate of reaction when the concentration of B is changed. That is, the rate is independent of concentration of B. Got it? So what will be the rate with respect to, or the rate law expression with respect to B? Rate will be equal to K B to the power 0. Do you get it? It's like this we calculate. Now in this you can easily just determine it from the table itself. Just I'm going for the shorthand. This is the rate in this case. If I'm determining the order with respect to A, In the experiment 1, the concentration is 0.01, in the experiment 2, it's 0.02. Whereas the rate is 0.005 and 0.10. See, the rate has been doubled. The concentration of A has been doubled and the rate also gets doubled. Right? So the reaction has got first order, or it is first order with respect to A. Now in case of B, see, when the concentration of A is constant, in the experiments 1 and 3, the concentration of A is constant. Whereas the concentration of B changes from 0.01 to 0.02. That is, the concentration of B has been doubled. But what happens to the rate? The rate remains the same. The rate of reaction remains the same. It means that when the concentration of B is changed, the rate of reaction is unaffected. That is, the order of the reaction with respect to A is 1 and with respect to B is 0. So this is how the rate of reaction is determined by initial rate method. See, this is the formula which we have used. Say for the reaction A plus B gives product, rate will be equal to what? K, initial concentration of A to the power n, initial concentration of B to the power m. If the concentration of B is held constant, then A will be equal to K dash A to the power n. Likewise, the rate of reaction, say for the first and the second experiment, what are these? These are the initial rate of reactions in the first and the second experiment. Now that is equal to K into the initial concentration of A in the first experiment and initial concentration of A in the second experiment. This we have used, right? So this is R1 by R2 is equal to A1 by A2 to the power n. So this is what we have used, and this is the logarithmic form of it, right? So this is how the rate of the reaction is determined experimentally. No, sorry, the rate of the reaction, or it is not the rate of the reaction determined experimentally. I'm so sorry for that. It is the rate law expression which is determined by initial rate method. I hope you have understood this question or understood this thing. You have nothing to do, just take the initial rates at various different initial concentrations of one reactant, keeping the other reactants constant, keeping the concentration of the another reactant constant, and repeat the experiment with the another reactant also. So the order of the reaction with respect to both the reactants can be determined. After all, what is the order? It is how the change in concentration of one reactant is affecting the rate of reaction. Okay, so this is all about this session, students. In the next session, we'll be discussing about the integrated rate law method for determining the order of the reaction. So I hope you have understood the different methods for determining the order of the reaction, that is the isolation method as well as the initial rate law method, or initial rate method. It's not rate law, it's initial rate method. So the numericals related to initial rate method comes in all the exams. You can find them in your board exams and also in other competitive exams. And you know, it's very easy. It's just you can just see the data and find out the order of the reaction. Right? So thank you, students. Thank you for listening patiently, and do have a nice time ahead.